And the solutions that you suggest seem very possible and very profitable. What is keeping the corporations from understanding this, and as well as the politicians right now?
I think a lot of it is you and me and our listeners. That we're just not we're not the name. We're going out and we're buying Nike, and we're not saying anything. We're going out and we're honoring Tiger Woods for all the money that he's making, and the Boston Red Sox or whoever happens to be on television today with their big Nike swishes across their their catcher's pads or whatever. We're honoring that. We're putting these people on the cover of our magazine. We ought to be saying, listen now, we don't want to buy those products anymore, and we're not going to honor your sports people unless you can convince us that what you really want to do is help to create a world that our kids are going to want to grow up in, and our grandchildren. And let's honor what the United States stands for, people of, a government of, for, and by the people, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Nowhere in the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence does it say that should be limited to the 13 original colonies. Today we include Texas and Michigan and California. So why not include the whole world? Those concepts are looked at around the world as very, very valid. Everybody that I know all over the world has tremendous respect for our most sacred document, for the ideology of the United States. But we're not honoring it. Let's honor it. Let's create a world of, for, and by the people, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for everybody, even the coltan miners and diamond miners in Africa. And in doing that, we're going to create a much better world for ourselves and our children and grandchildren. And I'm convinced we can do it, but we've all got to take responsibility for that. We've got to be willing to send an email to the companies that are abusing the system and tell them we're no longer buying their products, and we've got to encourage those companies that are trying to do a good job. And we'll also recognize that nobody's perfect. Whole Foods has tried very hard and has helped to bring us into this organic business, and they're not perfect at it at all. They've made a lot of mistakes. They've had some bad relations with labor, but I think they're really trying, and we should honor that, and we should honor the ones that do try. We should honor the fact that Walmart, which 3 years ago wasn't even talking about just being green, is now trying to be green. So if you go to Walmart, only buy the green things, but let them know that you're only going to buy the green things and nothing else from them. And if we all do that, we will turn this thing around.
Yeah. I'd like to ask one more question. This will probably be our last big question. It is kind of a big one. As someone who has done economic forecasts for many nations through your job as an economic hitman, what do you make of America's economic situation right now and the world economy and where that's going and what we need to do to stabilize that and make sure that it's protected and safe?
All right. Well, I'll take the next week to talk about that. But we're in a dismal situation right now. Obviously, we really have been operating as an empire where we've been exploiting other people, and the empire's collapsing. Empires always collapse. History tells us that. And when they collapse, you get a void, and you usually have wars, and some new empire emerges. We don't want that to happen. So we really need to turn this around, and I'm optimistic we can do it. We're in trouble right now, but the good news is that everybody in the world sees this. We for the first time in history, we've got a common set of crises. It used to be that California had an earthquake, or Florida had a hurricane, but these things didn't really have much of an impact on the other parts of the country or the world. But today, everybody from the heart of the Amazon to the highest points of the Himalayas shares these crises of global warming, of ozone layer destruction, of diminishing resources, increasing food prices, increasing oil prices. And we're all talking to each other through the internet and cell phones, programs like yours does. So we know this is going on. This has never happened before in the history of the world. So I think that creates a new opportunity. Also, this empire that we currently have is not a military empire, so it doesn't have to be defeated militarily. We don't have to take up guns. It's a commercial empire. It's built on purchasing. And so we impact it by purchasing and by talking to each other and by convincing corporations to turn these things around. So, I think the things we've talked about here are what's going to pull this together. We need to convince these corporations to get out of the war business and the exploitation and the colonialism business and get in to the business of creating a better planet and better societies of human beings upon this planet, environmental sustainability, social justice, and peace. And if we can really move in that direction, I think we're going to do something that's never been done in the history of the world before. Rather than watching an empire collapse, let's transform this one into a true model that the whole world can look at. And I'm not talking about a model that we all speak the same language, have the same customs. I love diversity and those things. But let's all have one goal, and that is to create a sustainable, just, and peaceful world. Let the corporations make their profits, but only within the context of doing that. And I think we're in a remarkable position. As I hold my 9-month-old grandson in my arms and look down at him, I wonder, what is this world going to be like when he's my age? I'm 63. And I think if we stay the course, it'll be an ugly world, a terrible world. But if we take this opportunity to really turn things around, and every one of us must work toward that, then we can create a very, very beautiful world for my grandson and for all his brothers and sisters on every continent and every remote corner of the planet. And I'm very encouraged that we will do that.
Great, John. I really appreciate that you share these same progressive concerns that so many of us do, but that you seek solutions that are more leaning toward libertarianism rather than socialism or government control, because government control itself is a problem. And also, one of our listeners pointed out in the chat room that he would like for us to thank you publicly on the air here for having the guts to write these books and talk about these issues, talk about what you did, despite the fact that you had faced threats and bribes not to release this information. It's very, I think, informative and important, and I think you're offering a message that everybody in this country needs to hear, that they need to take involvement in everything that's going on in order to make a difference. And I just want to commend you for doing that, and I think all of our listeners appreciate the fact that you've published these books and are talking about these issues, and especially for coming on Revolution Broadcasting to talk about these things.
Thanks, Doug, and I really appreciate your program. I mean, it's programs like this that are going to change the world. We need a lot more of this, and I'm so glad that you're getting out there. And I'd also like to, I'd love to meet some of these people, and I have a pretty extensive speaking tour coming up this fall. You can check out johnperkins.org. Come and hear me talk and ask questions, and let's have a dialogue and let's meet each other. I'd like to do more of that. And I'd also like to say there's nothing more fun or exciting in this world than really working to create a better world for ourselves and our children and grandchildren. I mean, you know, I appreciate all that you said, and yet I got to say I'm having fun doing this, and I think you can tell that, and I think we all will. I can't think of anything that is more fun than trying to create a better world. So if we work toward that and dance and sing and, you know, what can be better than that?
Great. Well, our guest today was John Perkins. His books are Confessions of an Economic Hitman and The Secret History of the American Empire. They're both available in paperback, and I've seen them in a lot of the bookstores lately, so go check those out. Also, the website was johnperkins.org, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so go to johnperkins.org and find out about his speaking tour he'll be doing this fall, and make sure you get out to see him and talk with him. Thank you for joining us on Revolution Broadcasting, John.
My pleasure. Thank you for having the show and having me on it.